Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Star Trek Discoverage, the live podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about this week's episode of Star Trek Picard. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, aka Caliban, and I gotta say, Amanda Plummer is doing way more than chewing the scenery. This is a scenery mukbang. Joining me on the show, as usual, is my co-host. She's also the co-host of the Generations Geek podcast, a more or less family-friendly celebration of geekdom. It's Ella Pearson. Ella, welcome back to Discoverage. Ella, are you there? Talk
Sorry,
again.
I was muted.
Oh,
Hi, I'm here.
uh,
I'm here.
that's okay.
Everything's fine.
That's the way that life goes. The crumbly cookie is the most delicious. That's what I say. How have you been?
Good. How are you?
Good. I like consistency. That's how I do my thing. I see squares behind me. It's an AirSats Max headroom. I know I'm okay. But you, every single time, you had a new background, and I like the variety.
Thank you. I am. I will admit. I hate to admit it. I am in my boyfriend's apartment,
Okay.
so it's featuring an everything everywhere all at once poster. It's
Oh,
featuring
sure.
I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Lego flowers that we built when we had COVID.
Oh, nice.
That's the tea. Yeah.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
be honest about the tea. One thing about me is that I'll always be honest with our viewers.
Good, good, because I lie to them constantly. So one of us has to be consistent in that way. Speaking of tea, this is the part of the show where we usually talk about the news in the world of Trek. And oh boy, is there some news this week. Last week, in an interview with SFX magazine, producer Alex Kurtzman hinted that we'd be hearing soon about new developments in the world of Trek. And soon is right now. Take that, Morrissey. It was announced it was announced on Tuesday of this week that Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks would be renewed for their third and fifth seasons, respectively. A release date for the second season of Strange New Worlds was also announced. That date is June 15th in the US and most overseas markets. Lower Deck Season 4 is set to debut in late summer, presumably after the completion of this next season of Strange New Worlds. And it was also announced that the second season of Star Trek Prodigy would premiere winter 2023 with a 20-episode order, just like first season. No current word on exact dates for lower dates, and Prodigy, the third season of Prodigy, being greenlit. So that's really big news. Not unexpected news, but good news all the same, especially with the talk of downsizing all over Hollywood. But Paramount's going strong still. Thanks, Yellowstone. Spend that Yellowstone money, get more Star Trek. The real big news is the official announcement of Star Trek Starfleet Academy beginning production in 2024. The long awaited, long rumored show has been officially announced. Here's the show's description from the press release. Star Trek Starfleet Academy will introduce us to a young group of cadets who come together to pursue a common dream of hope and optimism. Under the watchful and demanding eyes of their instructors, they will discover what it takes to become Starfleet officers as they navigate blossoming friendships, explosive rivalries, first loves, and a new enemy that threatens both the Academy and the Federation itself. We did it! We made it! Starfleet Academy!
I honestly, I could like blow out my microphone. I'm so excited. Like, I, I saw it. I was at a rare event. I was in the office today. I always work from home. I got my job at the beginning of 2020. I always work from home. I was in the office today. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And I saw the news, and I texted my dad, and I said I was right. I knew I was right.
Yeah. Well, you were right, presumably, about the existence of the show. The particulars of the show, we don't know. Kurtzman will run the show along with co-showrunner Noga Landau, who was the creator of the CW's Nancy Drew series and is a television writer as well. And they said in a joint statement that admission is now open to Starfleet Academy. Explore the galaxy, captain your destiny. For the first time in over a century, our campus will be reopened to admit individuals a minimum of 16 Earth years or species equivalent, who dream of exceeding their physical, mental, and spiritual limits, who value friendship, camaraderie, honor, and devotion to a cause greater than themselves. And they've got a good student union or whatever the rest of the pitch is there. So yeah, that's interesting. The first time in over a century, this seems to indicate that this will be set in the 32nd century, a spin-off really of Discovery.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so stoked. I love we've talked before about how much I want a Star Trek Academy show, about how much I love those not only the like those series of like original novellas about the Academy, but also those they did four novellas after JJ Treks and the Kelvin universe with
Yes,
that Star Trek Academy, and
yes.
I can't wait. I mean, I feel like obviously every Star Trek show they announce, I'm overwhelmed with excitement, but this one is like even Star Trek is personal for me, but within that, I feel like this is personal. I'm really excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I wonder the shape that this will take. The first time that we talked about this, like 5 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah,
uh,
five.
they were talking about the creators of Gossip Girl developing it. And we've got the lady that created CW as Nancy Drew. So clearly, like that, they want to fill that spot with a show for the young folks, for younger people, and I think that they should really try to pursue that. I think that's a really good idea. Um, Tweeny Star Trek, I guess, or like Star Trek for young adults. That isn't just Prodigy. That's kind of like the younger sort of set. Of course, it appeals to adults as well. I think that this is a good idea. This is a quadrant, so to speak, that they haven't really entered before. I mean, it's true that like young men and women, enjoy Star Trek, but to try to sort of focus the storylines, towards what you would see in a torrid, sort of a teen show. Maybe don't go to Riverdale, don't go to Planet Riverdale,
I mean,
but
please,
something.
Riverdale. If I wish to God the Riverdale writers were just on a Star Trek Academy series from the jump, they would have killed it.
Yeah, yeah, just something. Give them something to talk about. Have something. The tweets like, "What's going to happen next week?" Oh, she
Hmm.
shouldn't have said that. That sort of thing. I think that could
Hmm.
really fit into the Star Trek universe. I should also announce that Tawny Newsome, the star of Lower Decks, has announced that she's a part of the writers' room for the show as well. So bringing some of that juice into there, it could be
Well,
really
and
good.
she's so talented. She's literally amazing. I can't wait.
Um,
She's gonna do so well.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so I was looking at the math here, and with Discovery wrapping up, and of course you've got these other shows in development, it looks like it'll be only Strange New Worlds as like the regular series in production going forward in 2024, unless we get some a renewal of Prodigy. Obviously, Picard's coming to an end, Discovery's coming to an end, and so they've added Starfleet Academy. There are stories in that there are links to websites that talk about Section 31. I refuse to report on Section 31 until there's something concrete, because of course every time they ask
That's
Alex
fair.
Kurtzman,
That's
he
fair.
says, stay tuned, stay tuned," and every "stay tuned" is always a prophecy proven true when you finally ink that deal. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I really want it to happen, but obviously there isn't anything concrete about Section 31 just yet. But
Yeah, I
who
mean, I
knows?
feel like who knows? I also think I wonder if they realize like that literally what other franchises had like so many different series of shows
Hmm.
that I mean we're going on. They told us we're gonna have 365 days of Trek or whatever it was, and I think they did over that consecutively.
Yeah,
And while I love it, it's not necessary. And I would love. I'm. While I am going to be sad for Disco to go off the air, I think I said this when we talked about this originally. It's like I rather the quality over quantity, right?
yeah. I also think. Do you think that they are gun shy about their prospects when they've got the sort of series history of, obviously, um, DS9 and Voyager were successful in their own way. They're on at the same time. Um, do you think that they are worried about kind of overstacking the deck as they have in the past? Because now it seems like the model is that's the model that everybody wants, but everybody has a hard time kind of delivering on. You've got something like Disney that runs series that are standalone but also connected to franchises, actually mostly connected to franchises, I guess, when I think about it, that run not against each other, but essentially like in sequence. You've got something like Supernatural that tried again and again to create some kind of spin-off, and the main show went for 15 years and everybody loved it, but
How
everybody's
dare
like,
you
no,
invoke that name?
no thanks, no spin-offs. So obviously they've done well already. Like it's sort of like the way I see it. To answer my own question is, I think they see it like the Star Trek show. Like everything is Star Trek. That's kind of like the Marvel thing, right? Like if
Mhm.
you like this, you're going to see a She-Hulk, you're going to see a Moon
Yeah.
Knight,
Yeah.
and they keep making them. So I think it must be working.
I mean, I hope so. Like I'm not I love more than anything how much content we're getting. But I was
Mm-hmm.
worried and I wasn't gonna bring up Phantom Casual in the chat said the killing words CW. And I didn't want to address the supernatural
Hey, I mean,
of it all.
like it well, like or hate them, those CW shows, what the Flash is on like season 9 or something. They have to like drown
Well,
those shows to get rid of
I
them.
wish if I was in my room like I usually am, it's like I've got the license plate from the show.
Yeah, yeah,
I've got 10,000 autographs. I've got the record. I've got the, but like, it would, what they do, 16 seasons? And it was really
something
good
like
for
that.
like 5 to 8 of those seasons were
Yeah, it's
good.
true.
And so with Disco, I was like, how many years of this show are they going to do? Please don't because the worst thing ever is when your favorite show gets like twisted at the end, like
Yeah,
especially Supernatural got so bad at
yeah,
the end, respectfully.
yeah.
um,
Or a lot of people didn't like, the last season of TNG. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I just, the gas runs out at some point, and that's just sort of
yeah.
natural. But CW, the Vampire Diaries had the originals, and that ran for a little
They've
while.
had
And
so many like really like hit shows. And are they all on the same kind of theme, like the almost over dramatic, they're stoic Dean, stoic with the he's got stubble, he's wearing flannel,
right, yeah,
he's hurt, he's hurt, he's aching.
yeah.
Um
I want to see the new flannel Starfleet uniforms for that.
but I would love I mean I just can't wait for Starfleet Academy. I think it's gonna be really good. If it's one of those things where it's like if it's at a certain point something is so popular that makes like they make so many seasons people are watching, obviously it's good to a certain extent. So
I always read Alex Kurtzman interviews, and I never really watch them ever. But I'm just fascinated at the way. I don't know if he's a guy that you talk to and you tell him, yeah, so I had surgery on my kidneys, and he's just like, yeah, oh yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. Like if he's just like a really agreeable person to talk to, but it almost seems like he's coming up with stuff like during the interview sometime. Like
I mean I think
they asked him about a spin-off like for Discovery, and like, maybe like a movie, and he's like, oh, we talk about it all the time. Is there a movie version? Doing a movie is different. It's 2 hours, right? So it's different than doing 10. Anything is possible, really. It's just like,
I
am
think
I
he
pitching you
maybe
right now? Is that what's going on here?
I think he's a good person to interview, to be honest, because he's like because in his head he's like I would love to do a Discovery movie. I don't know if it'll ever happen, right?
Yeah,
But he's like in an interview like, yeah, of course I would love to do a movie.
yeah.
Yeah, he's spitballing on the spot. I really like it from him. He's
I know. Well, you
I
know what? He's
wonder,
a
do you think they told him it was okay to slip the Starfleet Academy stuff ahead of time? Or do you think he just let it slip ahead of time?
like, when did it slip? Because
Well, because he gave that interview where he like implied.
oh, yeah. I mean, it's his CBS foots the bill, but he's developing it, right? So I guess if he feels like that last meeting went really well, or they've got something, then he can say whatever he wants, I suppose. Um,
Mm,
they were asking him too about like individual characters, like would we possibly, follow a character like, Seven, or the characters that have shown up in Picard that weren't like TNG
mm.
characters. And he said, even individual characters, we could absolutely continue to tell stories about characters that are set up on the show in other contexts. So it's just like, I think that he's just like a really open person, because obviously every
Yeah.
showrunner, every producer is going to have these thoughts, and maybe they'd be like, I don't know, we'll see. Like a lot of showrunners treat it like that, but he's just like, we could do that. That's a good idea. We'll see. And really, it all comes down to like whether Michelle Yeoh answers their calls, right? So that's what we're really waiting for.
And she won't.
Yeah. So Michelle, I'll let you kick my
I
ass
mean,
if you
the
sign
proof
on
is in
this
the
show.
poster behind me.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Star Trek's got a voicemail. I'll miss her, but I also love it for her.
Hey, look, she's an Oscar-winning movie star now.
Yeah.
Star Trek movie, we bring her in. So, Discovery Giorgio prequel, Mirror Giorgio doing something, Section 31 movie. You know, what do you think?
I mean, anything. I feel like Kurtzman. You know, I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah, that'd be great. I would love to do that. It would be different because we'd
let's
have to
do that.
I mean, I
I
think
want 10%.
probably
You can't just say, let's
if
do
I'm
that, and then you
well,
run off and do
exactly.
it.
I feel like probably, if I'm being honest, I feel like the vibe is like clearly they're very open to doing all kinds of ideas within the franchise.
Yeah,
And I think Kurtzman has caught that vibe. And in interviews, he's like, yeah, I would love that.
yeah.
Maybe we'll make that happen. You know, I mean, think about how many years has it been now since Disco aired? Think about 10 years ago. It was like Star Trek's never going to be on the air again. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like maybe we'll get another Kelvinverse movie.
yeah. Yeah,
And now look at where we are. Like that's where Kurtzman, that's where his headspace is at. I feel like.
I guess so. Now we've Chris Pine's got a hit with Dungeons and Dragons, so losing him now.
Is it out yet? Do we know it's a hit?
Well, the pre buzz is high. It's Chris Pine, you
Really?
know. It's March. Nothing else is going on. I think it'll do
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I'll let you know when I see it.
You're gonna see it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even if just to, because that's the thing. Like, you're not. I rarely play the age card here, but uh, in the old days, you would go to see Spawn or whatever it was, and you
Yeah.
were mostly just going to see how bad it was going to be because you just knew they just can't make these things right, you know? And now in
Yeah.
the post Marvel age, it's like you go because you're excited because you know how good it's going to be. Now we're phase four, we're like getting more into like, now we're going to see if it is going to be good or bad. Um, and the answer sometimes is bad, but I've heard it's good. Yeah, I'm just excited to see a good D&D movie. So
Yeah. I'm waiting.
that
I'm
seems
waiting
so
for
unreachable for so long.
more reviews to come out
Yeah.
before I go see it.
Well, let me know if you see it. We have both just seen the seventh episode of the third season of Star Trek Picard, and it's an episode called Dominion, and we're here to talk all about it. But first, as always, a warning: we're setting a course for the spoiler zone listeners. So if you haven't seen the episode, spoilers are incoming. The official synopsis for Dominion is: crippled, cornered, and out of options, Picard stages a gambit to trap Vadic and reveal her true motive, a gamble that puts the Titan in the crosshairs and forces Picard and Beverly to question every moral code they've ever had. The episode was written by Jane Maggs and directed by Deborah Kampmeyer, and there's no start date for the episode, but it takes place in 2401. And let's see here. I don't think there's any real facts to talk about except, oh gosh, wait a minute. Oh, Tim Russ is back on the show. Tim Russ appears in a short cameo. I would say that Tuvok's on the show, but we know that that's not true. This is the first appearance of a Tuvok, I guess, since the end of Voyager. So I guess that's exciting. What do you think about the Tuvok cameo?
It was like so. It was so early in the episode. Like it happened so fast that I almost had no reaction. Like, and then I wonder if it was partially because it was like it wasn't like Tuvok was right there.
Yeah.
He was on the Tuvok. He was on the the view screen, but I was like I had little to no reaction. I think because it was so sudden
Yeah.
that I was just like I was like, oh my god, it's him.
Yeah. It was really sudden, and it makes me wonder again about something that I've wondered in the past about how they want to write these. Like, I don't understand why they've got like, so we've been speculating like one of the major characters is going to be a changeling. That's just the way that it is going forward. And we kind of get that tonight, but they've got this infiltrator race. Like the whole point is that they can look like anybody. And I feel like if they had like waited on if Tuvok shows up out of nowhere, they go, oh, thank God, Tuvok, we're in so much trouble. And he comes aboard and then he's, helping them out. And then it turns out, oh my God, not you, Tuvok. But instead, they just spent it in like the first 5 minutes. Like in the first 5 minutes,
Mhm.
Seven's like, You're not Tuvok because you would never go to this planet that doesn't like the Kolinar."
Car.
It's like,
I
what?
mean, it's like you have to, you can't, they only have so many episodes, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's
But
like
what are we
every
trade?
single episode,
Go ahead.
no, every single episode we spend wondering like, oh, is that one a changeling? Is it that one?
Yeah,
Is it that one? What's up with Jack? What's up with
yeah,
Picard? And it's like they can't spend that much more time on, plus real time, like Seven wouldn't spend the time like joking around with Tuvok and like letting him on the ship and letting whatever. It's like she's gonna get down to business to figure out whether this really is her friend, you know? And
yeah,
they have to because they're fugitives, like they're on the run.
yeah,
So I feel like it's accurate. It did happen really fast. I agree with you
yeah. But like, I don't know. Like, like you said, like you can only do so much in an episode. So I'm like, what did we keep? We lost instead the build up to the reveal that Tuvok was it, because it's kind of like we're joining, a scene in progress, and we just see the end of the scene, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like the impact was as high. I hope we get to see the real Tuvok. I mean, he's already on board,
though.
right?
Yeah, that'd
Tim
be great.
Russ. He does mention they're building up this thing about Frontier Day, and he does mention that Admiral Janeway is in preparations for Frontier Day. So if this thing ends at Frontier Day, we better see live action Janeway. Like that's gonna happen, right?
I know. I almost thought that we were gonna see her today, and
Yeah,
I was like not ready. Like I wasn't ready to handle it.
yeah.
Um,
Now
but
they find themselves in like a. Does Star Wars have this problem where they're writing? They've got a show that's set before this, right? Star Trek Prodigy. If they have Admiral Janeway appear in 2401, then every time that she's in trouble in the late 24th century, there isn't enough drama there. Like we know that Obi-Wan doesn't die here because he's gonna got to get
mhm,
killed on the Death Star later.
mhm.
I want to see her either way. I don't really care.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll. I'm just interested to see her like her role. Also, is it the real Janeway? Like what? I mean, I feel like it has to be because at
Mm,
a certain point they have to draw the line at who's a changeling.
yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. Like we'll talk about it right now. I guess they gave us a lot of new info about the Dominion and what's going on with them. And I don't know about you, but I feel as confused as I've ever been about what's actually happening. Um, so we get this whole thing from Vedic about her origin and like what the deal is with her. And um, presumably her, and then she says like nine others, right? So is that like 10? Like there are 10 people that are, or 10 changelings that are like at the core of whatever this organization is, that wants to start this war with the Federation. Obviously, they have like
Hmm.
henchmen and other people, but like, should
Hmm.
we just expect that there's 10 of them?
I mean, I think that it was like they're the ones who sparked it. So
Yeah.
then she said a thing about like how they can transfer their new
Yeah.
abilities to
So,
others by melding with them. So I feel like now there's I think there's plenty more than 10. Like I think you know.
yeah. I mean, 10 would be scary enough. So maybe you can help me with this then. So we see the Amanda Plummer's character is one of these changelings, but then she's also she took the form of her the scientist who experimented on her in the same way that Odo, looks sort of like Doctor Tutti Frutti, whatever his name is. Is that what we are to believe, or did she infect the character, the Amanda Plummer character, who then became Vatic?
I guess I assumed that she had killed her
Okay,
and taken her likeness.
yeah, I was. I didn't. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, either way. But I was a little confused about that. I really liked the idea that uh, they. So you see, I don't know. You saw a bunch of test tubes. Maybe there was 10 test tubes. I don't know. But I like the idea of like keeping and like experimenting on a changeling and like pouring them into like different. There's like 10 test tubes of a person,
I
like
know, wasn't that
separating them.
horrible? I
Yeah,
was like, oh my god, what are we doing?
and it raises questions for me of like, so the whole idea of the Great Link is that they're all sort of, they are individual, careful beings in their own way.
Well, and
X amount
it's
of goo equals
yeah,
a changeling, but they're all
yeah,
sort of together, and so you pull the goo out, and so when you see changeling, female changeling, she's one person unit of goo, but she represents like all the thoughts and like of the Great Link. And so like now you've got like these 10 separate ones who have been driven insane, and angry through torture, and are now their definition is kind of like they are defined by their need for vengeance against the Federation. It's like, okay, that's a solid setup, I think. Who are the bird guys though?
the bird guys.
Yeah, that the henchmen's.
Oh, I guess I'd been assuming that they were also changelings.
Are they?
I don't know why. I think with every episode I'm like, why are they dressed like that?
Yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess I don't know how
Because it looks
important.
cool.
I don't know if I have not been paying attention or if it's not important to know the particulars, but because the changelings, so you got 10 changelings, they can infect other people with the ability to be changelings. Maybe those are the changelings that still have like internal organs and things like that. I guess that would make
But they can
sense.
infect other changelings, correct? Like with the ability to have more specific human
Oh,
organs and blood. Isn't
so
that what she was
they're
saying?
so
Because she
they,
was like, I can meld with others and share with them what I have.
huh?
And that's like them if they're in, they're in the bucket together. That's none of my business.
So they're it's a metaphor for them radicalizing other changelings then.
No, I didn't think it was metaphor. I thought it was like I thought that
No,
she
no,
meant
that
that like
that's a metaphor. But no, that really happened. Yeah, yeah.
it's a metaphor. Like if they literally were like liquid together,
Well, that's their
that
business.
she could. Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I would never.
Yeah.
I would never. I would never intrude on their business. The buckets. What happens in the bucket stays in the bucket. But I thought she was saying that if she like melded, like if you have a nice little changeling handshake and your hands turn to gel, that she could pass on that. Like that she would. I guess you're right. Infect them with the ability to have the more accurate human organs and blood.
Do you think then that there is a parallel metaphor between the changelings sort of sharing and becoming an amalgam of something and the amalgam that we have of data and lore in a single being?
Um,
Or is that coincidence?
could be.
Yeah.
That's not what I was afraid you were gonna say. But
There's a,
could be. I mean, I'm
oh,
not
yeah.
really sure where they're going with the data and lore. Do you know what I thought you were gonna say?
Well,
I'm
I
not really
know, but
sure
we
where
can
they're
talk about
going
it.
with the. I'm not really sure where they were going with the data and lore stuff, anyways. Like, because for me, and maybe this is just like this is a me thing. I thought that we had said goodbye to Data, and I said this. I feel like last week. I thought that we had said goodbye to him season one.
Me too.
So I really have no idea what we're doing now with him and Lauren, whatever,
I
in
can
this
tell you,
body.
every this is a new segment because I've been doing it every week. I've got a Terry Metalis interview for that. They asked him about it, and he said, "We were putting the cast list together, and we just couldn't have a reunion of the TNG players without Data, so we had to find a way to bring Data back." And
I'm
it's like,
I'm
well, they
just
brought him back. Like,
garbage, bullshit.
yeah, uh, there's something that happens in all media, but that is happening a lot in this show, and I think it's an effect of them wanting to just get things together. Uh, there's something called lamp shading, which is like a technique when you do something in a story, you know that the audience is aware that you're kind of doing something, whether it's fan service or it's just kind of ropey plotting to get something together, and you call it out. And so the character goes, oh, "Boy, this is sure kind of like the thing that we did that one time." Just so you're kind of like making a connection with the audience. And this show does that a lot, but it doesn't do it very well. And so you've got Jordy literally saying, like you pointed out to Data, like, I thought that I put Data behind me, when we buried him. So you're here
Also,
now, and, and he doesn't like, there's a comma and there's no second part of that sentence because there is no good reason. he's just here because we want to see Data again. And
Also, sorry, sidebar, but can we talk about how Jordy was like, I can't live through losing a part of Data again, and his daughter is like here. I was like, we gotta get a grip. We have to get a grip.
yeah, yeah. And they also like another good example of that bad lamp shading is who makes bad lampshades? I don't know. It's like a Walmart lampshade. The Walmart
Mm-hmm.
lamp shading is they're talking about like the mind of Data, and Jordy's laying it out. It's like a hard drive. There's like, Data and lore, and there's a partition, but they're sort of infecting each other. Also, Sung and B4 are in there, but they're just memory backups. And it's like, they never had to be there in
Like
the
they're
first
all
place.
memory backups, right? The thing that we're watching with
But they're
Brent
just,
Spiner's face is not any of them.
yeah, but they're right.
It,
This
like you
this
said,
isn't
none
Data.
of them.
Well,
They
if
keep
this,
calling him Mr. Data. It's not Data, man.
and there's
It's
a
not
huge,
Data, and it's not lore. It's
well, it's
something
not,
about like
but it's not Picard either, is it? Like, there's a
no.
huge
It's just
parallel
it's a
between
thing.
the
It's
fact
a
that this
it's
is
a
robot
straight up
Picard.
robot.
So if
It's
we accept
crazy.
that this is Picard, we do have to accept that this is Data and lore. But the show hasn't even made that connection, and instead they're like, let's say B4, so people know we remember B4. And I'm like, B4 is like a sentient being just hanging in a meat locker because you guys don't care about
But
him
it's
because he's
also
not
like
from the show.
Picard is like his consciousness is in whatever is standing in front of us now, right?
Yeah, but
And then
so
like
is
his
Data's and lore.
biological body was in the museum. This
Well,
is
we
a
know
ridiculous
because
thing to have to
it's a
say.
huge MacGuffin now. Yeah, but yeah,
But like, so he's in there. But Data, as we knew him, like has died. Lore, as we knew him, died. I don't remember about before.
but arguably Data is even more a part of the process that you're talking about because he is literally like memory on silicon, right? So ostensibly you could build a brand new body with like machine guns that's got Data's face and then just copy him over and then he's Data. Normally you can't do that with humans. They can now, or at least Alton Soong can, as he did in the first series of Picard. But we don't ever we don't ever talk about that. Why did they do that? Why did they make Picard a
I
robot?
think
Who cares?
I
Oh,
think
okay,
I
calm
mean I
down.
think it's
Complain
an
about this
interesting
season.
I think it's an interesting idea that like
Yeah,
and
oh,
I'm
it's
thinking let's say
fascinating.
that like is that Data if it has if it has all of Data's memories, like it acts like Data, it looks like Data, is
Yeah,
it Data?
80
But it's like
trillion
it's
petaflops.
not, dude. It's not. It's a
Okay.
copy of Data, and Jordy needs to get respectfully. Jordy needs to get a grip.
Well,
Like,
it should be a copy of Picard then, I guess technically, but
but is I feel like Picard. Maybe I don't remember this right. But Picard isn't a copy. It's like him. They took him out of his body, and he's in the
well,
robot. Like I guess I don't know what I'm talking about.
well, it's because I think this is one of the reasons. Okay, let me say my joke, and then I'll say the
Yeah.
philosophical thing.
Oh,
The
of
joke
course.
is they talk about a doppelganger of Picard. Get that like X-Men Origins the CGI ready.
Oh,
I hope
please.
we're totally gonna see
I make that joke every week.
just like Blade Runner 2049. We're gonna see like
Yep.
that era Sean Young Picard TNG era. They've got all the. They're gonna do deep fake. They've got 178
They're
episodes
gonna
of,
do
of
deepfake.
source
It's
material.
future deepfake.
It's coming. They're gonna do that. But the philosophical question is something that I think that Star Trek has avoided for its entire existence for 60 years.
Mhm.
Because only now recently, because it's literally what's happening in the news, are we even trying to do like AI, the nature of like the mind and reality in Star Trek. And I don't like,
Chat GPT.
yeah, right, exactly. Data's Dali is going to make a painting with too many fingers. Um, and I'm not criticizing Star Trek for that because Star Trek has always been about like the human adventure, men and women going out there and like exploring space and putting themselves in danger and like and helping people. And if we had a bunch of drones doing that, then that would not be the human adventure. So like it's fine. And then they've sort of here and there put little things in to say why the way the world is that way. They did it very strongly in Discovery when they had the control storyline, and even in the 32nd century, they're like, no bueno AI. We don't really do that. But you're left with like the literal expression of those questions and ideas in what we've got right now. A beloved character who has, is essentially like a soul cyborg. His consciousness is in a robot body. a robot character who's beloved, who is now in a new body, with another robot character that we don't like, and instead it's just, yeah, write the great scene for LeVar Burton to to knock out of the park. That's very emotional,
Yeah,
but like,
yeah, to eat
but
up,
what does
yeah.
it mean though? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's just for us to talk about on streaming shows.
And it is. But also Phantom Casual just has said something in the chat that I feel like is really I really like it.
Um, Phantom Casual says,
Mhm.
"In my day, Star Trek inspired technological advances, not waited for them."
I think it's a good read. I mean, I think it's a good read. I think it's an amazing read because
Maybe we
it's
could
like
invent a little empathy here. Maybe that's what we
because
can do.
I mean, you're so right though that it's like the communicators in the original Star Trek. Like, and it's like, what is left to imagine, right? Everything's been imagined now because Star Trek was from the beginning had such a pivotal role in sci-fi. But like,
Every single Trek series so far has been, and we said some nice things about Alex Kurtzman, so maybe we can like interrogate that now, has been essentially a Star Trek movie that is, 10 or 15 episodes. And the
mm,
problem with a movie, or let's just like the reality of a movie is you need you need an adversary, you need a threat, you need to, rise to meet it if it's a adventure and action movie. And, I've been feeling this the whole third season of Picard so far, but it really struck me tonight that like so their target is Foundation Day. We've got to figure out what's the thing. It's like this is like this is like 24 or something like that. Like when are they going to like explore something or discover something
can I? So is the
or
only
heal the
difference?
rift between two planets or something like that. Like it's all just them chasing breadcrumbs in a kind of adventure format. And I don't know. I mean, I think that when you talk about them inspiring technological advances, they don't have time for that. They're trying to find out who's going to bomb Federation Day.
Sure.
They're going to do. Metalis has been very honest about cribbing a lot of this from Star Trek movies, trying to give TNG the one more
hmm
movie that they deserved. And this is like the Kittimer Accords. This is like Star Trek 6. It's like Kirk's got to get
So
there. Picard and his robot body's gonna jump and like tackle Red Foreman and keep him from getting shot with a laser or something like that. Like we've just seen these beats, and who knows? Maybe the modern Star Trek audience it just doesn't want to see Picard play a flute for for 10 hours. I guess I don't want to see that either.
who
But
does?
I just
I
wonder
would
if
love
we'll
a
ever
live
get a
stream of
story
that.
like that again. If it's just gonna be, oh, but he's got the genetics in him, and then they're gonna
I
take
mean,
it and
so
put
is
it
the
in
what's
another
the
guy,
is the
and then you're
difference?
a robot, but you're also another robot. That's my
Is
frustration
it
with what's going on.
it is the difference then for you between the two things, the two options?
Are you there? I
Um,
can't hear you.
you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. Can chat hear her?
Hello?
Oh, why can't I hear her? I want to be special too.
I can hear you
All right,
okay.
Ella, say something amazing while I try to hear what you have to say, and then I'll just take people's word
Something
that it's an amazing
amazing.
thing.
Okay, I'll fill the time. I was gonna say something about the jazz band in the chat. If the difference between a movie and a TV show is just having enough episodes to, I'm just gonna talk until you can hear me again. Having enough episodes to have those one-offs. Like, I guess I don't know
Okay.
what the. Can you hear me yet? Hello. That's so weird that you guys can hear me and he can't.
Ah,
How about now?
keep vamping, Ella. You're doing great.
Keep vamping. Great. And I will keep vamping. Um,
Now we've lost Ella. All right, we're gonna. Oh, hold on. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Now talk. I'm gonna buy a Mac. Oh, I can be heard. So I can be heard and Ella can be heard. We just can't hear each other, which is how we do the show anyway. No, JK. Uh, I just can't be heard. Or I mean, I can't hear anybody but myself, which is how I do the show anyway. Okay, jokes aside. Um, one last trick here, and then maybe we'll have to just call it for tonight. They got to us. They heard us talking smack, and that was the end. Ella, say something fast. Yeah, I still can't hear. That's really weird. Yeah. Get my yellow jersey on. Well, all that being said, let's bring back the screen here, transition back. Whatever's going on, either in the show or on this show, we appreciate you stopping by, listeners and viewers, to watch us. Hopefully, we'll iron these technical issues out. That is it for our show this week, though, and thanks for joining us. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at EISTPOD for updates and to get notified when new episodes are being released. And also, you can always talk to us about the show on Twitter when you hit hashtag Discoverage. We'll be back, hopefully, on April 6th for the 8th episode of the 3rd season of Star Trek Picard. And it's an episode entitled Surrender, and I think that fits really well with what we see at the end of the episode tonight with Vedic in charge of the USS Titan. The stakes, they've never been higher. We'll be back next Thursday to cover it, going live once again at 8 p.m. Central. So join us then. You can find us on Twitter, enterprisingindividuals.com. That's EISTPOD. You can also go to enterprisingindividuals.com to find out more about our show. And Ella, thanks as always for joining me to talk about tonight's episode of Picard. Remind people where they can find you online.
Thank you. I don't know if you can hear me. People can find me at @Gold anywhere, any social media. And you should follow Star Trek Unlimited too.
And I'm at KA1IBAN on Twitter. And also subscribe to us here if you haven't yet on Twitch. Hit the heart and the bell so you get notified when we are live and broadcasting. And that is it for us for this week. We'll be back next week. And until we're back, I'm signing off for Ella. This is Caliban saying live long and prosper.